Right. I think we are live. Yes, we are live, bro. We are live. Right. So let's set some context, like what we are going to do in today's live. Uh, Hopefully everyone are doing well. Happy weekend. So what are we trying to do today? Actually, I have already implemented. I just want to make a documentation video. So previously, we were having MCP tools and API calls in the backend fast API. So there was an API endpoint called upload and verify status to get the status of a particular PDF. And in this video, I'm going to show you a new endpoint called summary. So what it does, it just summarizes the entire EBD, and like it gets the number of batch and files, and also it lists so the number of files needed uh, for the pending batch. It also shows you the number of pending batches. So I think it can be more handy for the admins of the systems, right? So if they want to check the history of transactions or history of batches or number of batches that we have handled through this system, so we can just make an API call, and to make it much more easier, I have created an MCP server where you can just prompt like hi Claude, can I get the summary of the EBDNs. It just lists us the number of batches and the number of PDF files that we have processed and the number of pending batches, and in order to anchor this pending batches, like the number of files that is required. uh, so these are the things that we get from this summary endpoint. So very important, in my point of view, like this is very important that we are going to do this. And also there is one more concept, prompt. So there is a concept of prompt in MCP framework. So it's like providing more context. Like every time I don't want to just say like upload this file or summarize this PDF, or can you get the status of this PDF hashes. So I just want to prompt, so making it more easier. ஸோ இப்போ பார்த்தீங்கன்னா ஏபிஐ கால் பண்ணுறது எனக்கு கஷ்டமாக இருக்குது. அதனால் எம்சிபி டூலில் வந்து நான் என்னோடய நேச்சுரல் லாங்குவேஜ் யூஸ் பண்ணி ஏபிஐ கால் பண்ணுறேன். எனக்கு என்னென்னா ப்ராம்ப்ட் பண்ணவும் எனக்கு கஷ்டமாக இருக்குது அப்படின்னா, we can go for this prompt implementation in MCP server. So we have to work very hard to be very lazy. Okay, that's what we're going to do today. Yeah, so actually like the API backend is running, but I will do it 1 second so that we are in the same state, and also the backend blockchain is running. I will also reset the blockchain. Today we're going to focus on only this part, right? We're not going into any other part. Like we're just going to concentrate this part. How does this summary works with the prompt? That's what we're going to see today. So let me restart the server. Let me delete the databases so we can start from scratch. And also I will redeploy the contracts so that we start from the new state. These are the commands. Suppose we have to dump the state, it creates a .json, state.json. It can be in future we can reload it, but if you want to have a new state, then I would recommend deleting the .json file and then redeploying the contract. This is the script that deploys it. I hope this deploys. Yeah, so this is the contract address. Make sure this contract address matches the one in the backend. Most of the time it should be same. If you're doing multiple deployment, then the address must have changed, so we have to replace this address on the backend side. If not, it's okay. So you can run this call, cast call, for to check like if the contract is really deployed or not. So now the blockchain part is ready. Now we can move on to the server side. So we have deleted the databases, and I have created a new test script. So what happens is, this is a normal uploading script. We are just uploading 5 files, and before that, let me give some context on the configure settings. Like, we have settled the batch size of 2, and then we are uploading 5. So which means like we have 3 batches, one batch with 2 files, one batch with 2 files, and then the last batch with 1 file. So 2 batches with the status of finalized or anchored, and then the last batch with the status of pending, and the required number of files to be anchored is 1. So this should be the result from the summary, right? That's what we are doing here, making the API call, get request to the summary, and then we're just printing the response. So let's go into the main file, and let's see what does the summary endpoint does, right? It's very simple. Get the number of batches in the databases, number of files in the databases, and check if the batch status is pending. So yes, so if it is pending, we are going to get the batch that has the status of pending. We're going to iterate through this batch and get the number of files that is associated with this batch, and subtract with the settings dot batch size to get the number of files that is needed to anchor this batch. And then we are creating a pending context list which contains of batch ID. Of course, this should be pending because we're getting only the batches from the pending status. And this is going to be the current file count, so which we got from by querying like number of files currently in the systems that has the same batch ID. This is going to be the number of files needed, which we get from subtracting the settings dot batch size with current file count. And finally, we have the batch size, which we get from the settings inside the config.py. And then finally, we are responding with this. We have two things. One is the object of summary, and then other thing is a list of objects that contains this pending context object. I hope this is clear. It's much simpler than compared to all other APIs that we have worked on the past. Let me run the server. Make sure you are inside this env visual environment. You can find all the commands in the readme file. If you go into the GitHub, you can find all the commands. Let me start the server, and as I said before, we're going to run this test system summary, so that we upload the 5 files, create 3 batches, 2 batches with the status of anchored, and the last batch with the status of pending, and then we will use the Claude to summarize all these things and check whether it gives the right answer or not. So this is the script. As you can see, like if I zoom in a bit, we have a total batch size of 3, and then the number of files that we have uploaded is 5, and then active batch is going to be the 1 because we need one more file to anchor the last batch. And then you can see like to get the context from the pending batch, so this is going to be the batch ID, and it requires one more file to be anchored to the blockchain. So we're getting right outputs from the script. We have to check whether we get the right outputs from the Cloud AA, the client of MCP server, right? Okay, so right now the backend is set, the blockchain is set. Now we can move on to the server side, the MCP server part. Here I just included a new tool called summary, which just makes a simple get request, gets the response, and prints all the response. So if there is a pending detail, which we get from the pending batch details, as I said before, this is a list. If I zoom in a bit, it's a list. Yes, and then if it is there, then we iterate to each of the batches, and from the batches we get the batch ID, current file count, the batch capacity which we get from the settings folder, and then the number of files which we get from subtracting the batch size minus the current number of files that's been uploaded. And then we are going to append it to the output, and then finally return the output to the cloud, and which processes and gets back the response to the user. And I have also created the prompt for the summary. This is a shortcut to get the full report or the current batches and the files. So please call this. We have to mention the tool name. Based on the results, explain how much of batches are currently pending and exact amount of files are needed to anchor them to the blockchain. So that's what we are trying to do. Let's make a call instead of like manually typing and providing the context. We're going to press a button or a click to get the summary of the EBDMs. I hope the Claude is running. The configure is already set. Maybe we can look into the config. Inside the settings, developers, you can see the EBDN manager tool is running. If you want to check the config, go to the edit config, open this with your favorite text editor. I'm going to use the Claude AI. Sorry, not Claude, like VS Code. So this command is going to run the server.py, which is inside the MCP server. Here we are running using the UV. We have to make sure, like, I think we have to run this. Maybe if I go to the nodes.md, I can find some commands over here. I think maybe like just give me a second. What was I saying? Maybe I think I'm not sure, like if I want to create a UV init, but the UV init is already initialized. I hope this works. If not, we'll find a way, right? So this is the localhost. So this is where the backend is running. Like you can find the port 8080. Where is it? Localhost 8080, yeah. And then we have to provide the file access. Today we are not going to verify the file or upload the file, so we don't need this part, and that's it. Like, I hope this config works. If I go to the cloud, this is running. So let's create a new chat session. Like previously we was manually prompting like can I get the summary of EBDNS. So like this we were doing. Like instead of that, we can just prompt it. Like we can go for here, summarize the EBDN system. So that's it. Like the context has been added, and then I just want to click enter. This is going to ask permission to access the tool. What was the tool name? Get system summary, and then it's going to make a call to the summary API, and it's going to respond with it's going to reply with me with a response context from the API part. Yeah, that's it. Just click enter. So this is the prompt functionality from Claude AI or MCP framework as a whole. I did not even ask for the permission. I think I have already given permissions. I will call the get system summary. That's the same tool that we have to call in order to get in order to call the summary endpoint from the backend fast API. To retrieve the current status of EBDN system. That's exactly right. So based on the EBDN system summary, here is the current status. Currently pending batches, as I told you before, we have a pending status of 1, right? There is one batch that requires one file. Let's see whether it could find the file. This is the ID, that's right. Currently has one file uploaded, but this is the main thing, need one more file to reach the required batch size of 2, exactly right, before it can be anchored to the blockchain. Exactly. Overall there are totally five files that's been uploaded, and there are totally 3 batches with 2 anchored and 1 pinned. So this is why we need MCP server. Like it summarizes as if like it's a human, right? It provides more context to the response. So instead of just responding with the standard JSON file or JSON object, it responds with a very clear natural language anyone can read it. So so to answer your questions directly, there is one pending batches that needs exactly one additional files. As I said before, it requires one to be uploaded before it can be anchored to the blockchain. Now what we are trying to do is, now let's go to this test summary. Instead of uploading 5 files, I'm going to rerun this test, but right now I'm going to upload one more file to the current database, so that the batch size becomes 3 and all the 3 will be anchored and total number of files will be 6. That's what I'm going to do. Make sure to use some other numbers, because the file name and the contents are depends on this number. So if we pass the same file, then it's going to revert back, like it's going to return with 402. I'm not sure like what is the return type. um, yeah, it's going to return with the HTTP that says that like the file is already existing in the database. So make sure to change the number. I'm going to rerun this test script. As you can see, like we have uploaded one more file. The batch is 3, number of files is 6, and we have 0 pending batches. All has been anchored. So now we will prompt the same thing, and let's check like whether it returns with a proper response. uh, I will call the get system summary. That's the exact tool that we want to call. um, uh, என்ன சொல்லிட்டு இருந்தேன்? Just give me a second, guys. This. So yeah, what was I speaking? Like current pending batch is going to be 0, as we have uploaded one more file, so that the third batch is full, and then if it is filled, we are calculating the root, we are anchoring to the blockchain. So yes, great news. There is no pending batches at this time. All the batches has been successfully anchored to the blockchain. Thank you so much. Overall system stats, like total number of files is going to be 6, and then total batches is 3. All the 3 batches has been anchored. There is no pending. Since there is no pending batches, no additional files are needed to anchor the batches to the blockchain at this moment. The system is fully up to the day with all the processed file anchored. Thank you so much, ODA. So that's how you prompt. They like if you are too lazy to prompt it, like you can just create a prompt inside the MCP, and just with the 2 button clicks you can make a context and pass it, and then the AI can call the APIs and get back with the result. I hope this is clear. uh, so that's what we were doing today. So this is the thing that we have did. uh, is there any other questions? Not sure. Actually, if you are using Claude, then you have to. So the problem is like, from my research, like what I could find is like there are no lot of clients for MCP servers. Like I think there is a tool called Wingflow, Claude, and then recently, if I'm not wrong, and yeah, if you want to create a custom